Hello, everyone. I am Krandall Brantley from Buckeyes Daily. We have recruiting updates, spring camp news, and look, we'll find out who is primed for a breakout season in 2026. Starting off with spring camp, some key black stripe updates. Ohio University transfer tight end Mason Williams lost his black stripe in Wednesday's practice. Now, for last season, he's coming off an all-MAC third-team season, finishing his Ohio University career with nearly 50 receptions, 500 yards, and 6 touchdowns, including a career-high game, 93 yards against Bowling Green last season. Also, UCF transfer defensive tackle John Walker hit his black stripe as well during Wednesday's practice. Walker played UCF, started all 12 games last season, and had a good season, 8 tackles for loss. 8 tackles for loss for UCF last season. According to 11 Warriors, former Alabama transfer James Smith and Florida State transfer Earl Little Jr. see Ohio State operates at a different level. Little said this: "Everything you're doing at Ohio State, you're going to compete. You have to bring your best every single day." Smith added this: "Everything's so intentional. They already know what to do here. He even compared it to playing under Nick Saban at Alabama, saying, "Gave me that feeling back from when I visited as a freshman for Alabama when Nick Saban was still the coach for the Crimson Tide." And so, look, the culture, intensity, competition level at Ohio State standing out immediately to these key transfers. That's good for the current team, but also good for these current recruits OSU's going after for this next recruiting class. They plan on getting number one class. This is a good way to show it when these guys visit for these spring updates. So, talk about the O-line. According to Yahoo Sports, OSU's offensive line wasn't as dominant last season as we've seen in the past. They struggled to oppose their will in their run game and had issues in the pass protection late in the year, especially in the Big Ten championship game, the Big Ten title game against Indiana, in the college football playoff Cotton Bowl loss against Miami. So for the Big Ten, that's a problem. Like OSU, the Big Ten is still built off physicality and winning in the trenches. Even though they have 18 teams now, it's still built off winning in the trenches. And so if Ohio State wants to compete for a natty, you got to get that right. They got to get the O-line right and have to return to form like they were a couple seasons ago when they won the championship. So the O-line is key to them winning these big games next season, and especially winning in December and January. So when OSU went on that 20-play drive against Team Up North in the rivalry game, you're thinking, okay, they are dominant. No one's going to outplay this O-line. They were in the championship. There were no concerns with the O-line after that game. And then it fell apart against Indiana the following week. And you're thinking against Miami, they have defensive lineman Ruben Bain Jr. You're thinking adjustments and then 3 weeks off for rest, the O-line will be good. Instead, it was the same thing. They really struggled against Miami, and Sam never felt comfortable in that game. That led to some mistakes. And so, with that, the O-line has to step up next year. That's the key to them winning a championship, along with the defensive line stepping up as well. And we think about the championship seasons for Ohio State, the national championship seasons this century, 02, 2014, 2024. They've had elite O-line play and great success in the run game. So now you have that star running back like you had in 2014 with Zeke, 02, Maurice Carrette, Bo Jackson is there for your star running back. Now the O-line to step up and set up for success for next season to go on and win the national championship. Okay, let's get into who's going to be the breakout candidate for 2026. According to Land Grant Holy Land, one name to watch is linebacker Riley Pettyjohn. With Arvo Reese, Sonny Styles heading to NFL, Pajon is expected to have a much bigger role after recording 9 tackles, a forced fumble, and fumble recovery as a freshman. He also mentioned defensive end Zion Grady is a breakout candidate as well. So look, Roddy Pettyjohn out for the spring, a lot of potential, 5-star linebacker. A lot of people say he's the best linebacker in the room. Right now, Ali Agro and Peyton Pierce are the 2 starters at this point. But I think Pettyjohn will be a breakout linebacker next year. I think he'll be key right there to be a starter eventually that season. That would be critical for the linebacker room. Also, Zion Grady competing with Quay Russaw for defensive ends and Bo Atkinson to line up across from Keanu Jackson. I think Zion Grady is primed for a breakout season as well. I think he'll outplay Quay Russaw, which isn't saying a lot. Quay Russaw has a lot of potential for the unit, and so we'll see. I think those 2 are correct for breakout seasons. My pick is pretty obvious. Not much of a hot take. I'm going with cornerback Devin Sanchez. Now, Sanchez, former #1 cornerback in the country, 5-star recruit out of Texas, came in last year and played well, including some starts. And so I think for next season, in year 2, I have him earning all Big Ten second team next season. The quarterbacks coach, Tim Walton, said this: "He has to become a dominant player for us. Being locked down, that's the expectation." And Sanchez himself said this: "I want to be a Thorpe finalist. I want to be an All-American, Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year." He also mentioned feeling more confident this year. Last year I was a little nervous. This year I'm taking that next step. And here's the key. He's going up against best player in the country every day in practice. So he's winning these reps like weekly, day to day, then yeah, he's definitely primed for a breakout season in 2026. So I have him at second team All Big Ten for next season, and then he will be the best returning defensive back for the following year as a junior and be ready to be a possible top 5, top 10 pick for 2028's NFL draft. That's how talented he is. And so, look, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he is an All-American and Jim Thorpe finalist. Makes the defense that much better. He has the potential to do that. Hey, for recruiting, OSU target, #1 O-lineman, Maxwell Hiller, committed to the Florida Gators. He chose Florida over Ohio State and Alabama. Ohio State was in the mix for a long time, made his top 3. He visited last month to Ohio State, or at least 2 months ago. But at the end, he chose the Florida Gators over Ohio State and Alabama. Key loss for Ohio State on the recruiting trail, but OSU is still in the mix for several elite O-linemen for 2027, including the next recruit that I will mention. You got, according to Rivals, 2027, #3 interior O-lineman, Caden Moss, included Ohio State in his final 5 schools. His final 5 schools are LSU, Ohio State, Oregon, Ole Miss, and Kentucky. Now, Moss visited Ohio State last summer and said he had a very high interest in Ohio State. Now, according to Rivals, next up, 4-star safety Kenaz Sullivan included Ohio State in his final 7 schools. He goes to St. James Academy in Virginia, ranked the top 25 safety in the country. His final 7 schools. Final 7 schools are Tennessee, Ohio State, Florida, Indiana, Maryland, South Carolina, and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech. All right. Last thing. According to On3, Jeremiah Smith could have made $10 million or more if he entered the portal over this past winter, but he didn't even consider leaving the Buckeyes. Smith said this: "I came to Ohio State for a reason, to win championships, develop as a player and a person, and keep building on this legacy. So I think Miami, they had a chance to get out of the portal after they beat Ohio State and proved themselves as an elite program again, and also Jeremiah Smith being a hometown kid. But also this, Brian Hartline leaving Ohio State. Hartline recruited Jeremiah Smith and played a role in his development. All those things, you never know if Jeremiah Smith wanted to leave, but instead, number 4, say the Buckeyes, if they're more motivated than ever to win a championship with Ohio State. Number 2, second championship with Ohio State. And so look, enjoy his next season with Jeremiah Smith. It's his last year, and he'll go down as probably the best receiver in school history. So one more year of Julian Sand and Jeremiah Smith. So that is it for today's updates. Stay tuned for tomorrow's updates. All right, go Bucks.